Hey guys, and welcome to the Working Money Channel. So we've got John Deaton here on this Saturday morning saying the fact that it is lower than it was during FTX is something. Now what he's referring to is the Fear and Greed Index. If you guys look down here, I'm going to play you this clip in a second. This is the Fear and Greed Index. Anthony Pompliano, he was comparing it to the FTX collapse back in 2022 when we were at 12. And guys, now we are at 9. Currently, as of the time of this recording, we're actually at 10. But I think his point remains. John Dean continues by saying, but we did see record outflows in ETFs. Those folks are not Bitcoin battle tested, and this is what is important. People who have been in the market for a very long time understand volatility, understand what it means when crypto is volatile. And the theory here is that the people who got into the Bitcoin ETFs were not Bitcoin battle tested, so they're not used to this volatility that we're seeing in the crypto space. Don't get me wrong, he says this is not fun for those of us who are, but for it to be lower than any other time in Bitcoin's existence is interesting. I assume it has to do with the newbies in the game. For me, I won't be shocked, and I didn't say I expected it, if Bitcoin does break 75,000, then rallies to 110,000 before the end of the year. So guys, this is what we have right now on the charts. I mean, luckily for us on the daily, you guys can see Bitcoin did bounce down in here. We did see it come back up, closed yesterday at $85,000. Unfortunately, today, though, it is a little lower, 83,800 roughly. Bitcoin is now just kind of hovering in this level in here. But some people are saying, worst case scenario, Bitcoin does get back down to former support levels from back in April when we did see a bigger crash in the crypto space. That would mean another, roughly 11% from here. But there is still positive sentiment in the space. People are still suggesting that, these are buying opportunities. Market cap is up by 0.01% within the last 24 hours. So nothing to cheer about, definitely. However, I guess it is looking green. Within the last 24 hours, though, most altcoins are still in the red. There are some exceptions to the rule, like Bitcoin Cash up 17%. That's interesting. Other cryptocurrencies like Monero is up 6.38% on the day. So the privacy coin's still doing okay. World Liberty Financial's up 15.73. So some coins are, most coins obviously are in the red. Even yesterday on the Working Money Channel Twitter X page, I wrote this, noticing, funny how it works. Right now, XRP is hovering around former resistance. Hopefully we will form new support at $1.96. And I brought up the chart here, just demonstrating how we were now basing after we were coming very, very close on November the 20th. I was wondering, are we going to get that bounce back? And sure enough, we did. Unfortunately, here is what it's looking like on the XRP chart today. Let me throw that on auto. No, what do I need to do? I need to throw it on the hourly. And okay, so I don't have that line on the chart anymore, but essentially 96 would bring us in around here. So 196. That is the price that we should have been bouncing on top of. And now, guys, it's looking like it is acting as resistance and not support. That is not a good sign. That means that chances of it going lower are higher. We need to get up here and use that as support, and hopefully that will mean that we will go higher. For more information, though, on where I think the market's going to go, follow me, guys, patreon.com/workingmoneychannel. It is only $5 a month. I've kept it affordable for you guys on purpose. I want you guys to follow if you're interested in knowing more about my thoughts on the current market. Is this an elongated cycle, or is this the end? $5 a month, but you got to subscribe and stay subscribed to lock in. Those prices will be going up. Check it out. So this is the story for XRP at the moment. Unfortunately, one XRP currently going for $1.90. How many of you guys didn't think it would get back under $2? Put it down in the comment section and be honest. Nevertheless, Matt Hoogan saying we are near the bottom, not the top. He says long-term buyers like Harvard, Abu Dhabi, real institutions are already nibbling at these levels. He even addressed the Binance glitch theory. Here's Matt Hoogan from Bitwise. Listen to this.
Let's bring in Bitwise Asset Management CIO Matt Hoogan. Bitwise is a crypto asset manager with more than $15 billion in AUM. Matt, it's good to see you. Thanks for the help today.
Thanks for having me on, Carl.
It sounds like you think we're getting close to some area of stability.
I do think we're getting there. I think it's sort of a tale of two markets right now. You have short-term investors looking at the market and seeing a lot of risk. The DAT trade unwinding, global risk-off sentiment, some fallout from the October 10th volatility event in crypto. But you're starting to see long-term investors nibble at the asset at these prices. I think it really comes down to your time frame. Could this go a little bit lower? Could it go down to 70K? That's of course possible. But long-term investors like the Harvard Endowment, the Abu Dhabi Sovereign Wealth Fund are looking at this thing and saying the long-term trend is up, regulation is up, institutional buying is up, the debasement trade is on. It really just comes down to your time frame.
Right. You mentioned the mid or low 70s. I guess is that a discussion about the cost of production right now?
It's mostly focused on, we had this huge move up following the election of Trump, right? And the idea is maybe we retrace all the way back to those prices. When I talk to people in the field, a lot of people are looking at this particular level around 84,000 as a potential bottom. That was where we retraced to in March, what was the last pullback in crypto. Some people are going all the way back to the Trump era election and saying maybe we need to retread that ground before we base and go up. Anytime you have a big bull market move in crypto, and we did from 70 to 125K, you get a lot of new investors into the market. Some of those are diamond hands and they're here forever. Some of them get shaken out when the first volatility occurs. We're seeing that shakeout, but again, I think we're closer to the bottom than we are to the beginning of this pullback. I think it's a great entry point for long-term investors looking out into 2026 and beyond.
I'm going to leave it there. He mentions some interesting points here. Real drivers, so global liquidity, risk off, the DAT unwind, and tourists getting shaken out, so not diamond hand people, similar to what John Deaton was commenting on up here. So interesting perspective there. Jungle Inc. also commenting, Bitcoin is having its worst month since 2022, the crypto collapse, and I think a lot of us, who were at least here then, remember that. Bitcoin has now dumped about 25% in November, crashing to the $80,000 range and wiping out trillions off the crypto market. And the numbers are brutal. Bitcoin down 30%. Crypto market below $3 trillion for the first time since April. ETF saw $903 million in outflows in one day. Another $2 billion in leveraged longs liquidated. Fear and greed index back to extreme fear. What's driving it? And, we've talked about some of these factors. Forced liquidation, structural ETF selling, reluctant institutions sitting out, AI-driven tech whiplash in equities, a mysterious forced seller dumping size, even decade-old OG wallets are offloading billions of dollars in Bitcoin. That's another interesting point here. These OG wallets are unloading. Bitcoin has now printed 11 straight lower lows, the longest streak since 2010. So this is what some people are framing it as the biggest stress test the post-ETF bull cycle has seen. That coming from Jungle Inc. However, Raoul Pal, remember what he said 6 months ago? The elongated business debt cycle, and that Bitcoin would climb higher, and then we would see a 35% retracement. He called it. If this is in fact what is going on, I want to remind you guys of what Raoul Pal said 6 months ago, and if we really should be worried.
It's not a mystery. It is a repeat of the debt cycle. They are rolling the debts. They are doing the same thing each cycle. It's not to do with a halving cycle, nothing to do with any of that. It's all driven by liquidity cycle and funding of debts. Each phase, we get phase one of the banana zone, banana number one. The corrective zone, banana number two comes. Another correction, banana number three. So this is the banana zone. So that's what happened in 2020, 2021. Off we go. Sorry, that was 2017, which again looks very similar to this one. That was the last one. Here we are now. It can't be clearer to me. I've shown you the macro evidence, the technical evidence, the sentiment evidence. Everything here suggests to me that hold on to your hats, don't fuck this up, don't lose control of your tokens, don't use leverage, don't get your wallet hacked, just sit with it, be careful, don't get FOMO, do all of the right things, and we'll go up to the next phase of the correction zone. That's going to be harder, because the next one that happens, we'll have a 35% drop, and you'll all say, is it over? And you'll definitely be sure it's over, and everybody on Twitter will tell you it's over, and it won't be over. By our work, we suggest that because of the elongation of the business cycle, because rates were higher for longer, the forward-looking liquidity suggests that, again, probabilistically speaking, without any guarantees, this whole thing goes into Q1, maybe Q2 of 2026, which would align with Trump's, trying to win the midterms as well. So everything's lined up for us. I think it started. So keep the faith, keep building stuff, and let's keep driving Siri forward with all of this.
So he said it would go down 35%. We would all get worried. And again, remember, he said this 6 months ago. Where is Bitcoin today? Let's throw that back on the daily chart just to show you guys how much we actually have corrected today. And yeah, at that low, guys, we're down about 36%. So let me just get rid of that one. Get rid of that. 36% currently. And people, like he said, would say it's all over. But it is interesting to note, 6 months later, Raoul Pal, the prediction here coming in on target. So I guess we now have to see, this correction phase result in another blow off top. So I wanted to thank the Bitcoin Therapist, Jungle Inc., Crypto's Russ, not myself, I'm not going to thank myself, and John Deaton for posting that. We've got the Grayscale Director of Research saying the bottom is in as well. This is Zach Pandel of Grayscale, says crypto has been weighted on by a shift in macroeconomic expectations fueled by the uncertainty of the health and labor market, health and credit market rate cuts, and the 4-year cycle.
I would say this, you have a jittery crypto market because of concerns around a concept of a 4-year cycle. Crypto was an early stage industry and asset class for the last 15 years, and it appeared anyway to follow a 4-year cyclical pattern. We've had a 3-year bull market, and so investors that were conditioned to that kind of pattern naturally a little skittish around prices today, concerned about some type of broader top. I think that this is a misguided perception. Cycles don't die of old age. Things that are priced in and well known to the market typically don't move prices. I think it's very clear to me that we've seen a shift in the macroeconomic expectations. That's weighed on crypto. The outlook continues to be very bright. I think we'll see that play out through the numbers and ultimately through valuations over the next few months.
Now, keep in mind, we got to be careful of these guys that are trying to sell ETFs. Again, this is the Grayscale Director of Research. However, he's also saying an extended cycle. I mean, macroeconomic factors are suggesting that. We do also have the Franklin Templeton XRP ETF that has just been approved. This letter just came out yesterday, courtesy of XRP Crypto Wolf, posting it here on Twitter X. The NYSE ARCA certifies its approval for listing the registration of the Franklin XRP ETF. So guys, that is going to be launched on Monday. We also got news from Ripple partners like dLocal. They just announced their intention to acquire AZA Finance to strengthen their presence in Africa and expand their capabilities. I don't know if you guys remember way back in 2017, Ripple was obviously continuing to grow its company. Over 100 financial institutions were going to be connected to Ripple. Ripple Enterprise Blockchain Network now encounters over 100 innovative financial institutions, including, and then naming a few here, dLocal obviously being one of them. Well, now dLocal is looking to purchase AZA Finance. So this was formerly BitPesa back in 2013. Fintech and crypto are just beginning to take shape in Africa. We made it our mission to ease cross-border payments on the continent through the power of technology. And 11 years later, we have built Africa's largest and most efficient trading desk for both fiat and stablecoin foreign exchange, providing liquidity in African and G20 currencies to fintech, businesses, banks, telcos, and NGOs across the globe. So now their strategy to purchase more companies here like AZA. They remain separate entities until the deal is formally done. It talks a little bit down here about AZA Finance and dLocal, but it is interesting to see this is where it's going. Remember, guys, Ripple and AZA Finance are both financial companies that operate in cross-border payments and financial technology, but they are distinct entities and often seen as competitors. I was wondering if they were already partners, but I found out here that they are not. So now we have this collaboration with AZA Finance and dLocal, dLocal purchasing AZA Finance. Of course, this just speaks to the proliferation of cryptocurrencies embedded in traditional finance. Hunter Horsley posting this. This is the CEO of BNY Mellon, guys, the oldest bank in America, the largest custody bank in the world, okay? Over 53 trillion in AUM, one of the most widely used service providers in TradFi. And here's what Robin Vince had to say. Remember, they are tokenizing everything, or at least they're going to be.
Can you go into digital assets and sort of this trend toward tokenization and how that plays into the business model a bit?
Yeah, sure, Carl. It's a really important trend. It's one of the mega trends. We identified a series of mega trends about a year ago, and we said we want to position our business, invest in those capabilities that will allow us to benefit from those mega trends. Because while we want to drive and are driving organic growth, we also want to make sure that we're attaching ourselves to these big market cycles, and digital assets is one of them. Now, that's not just stable coins, it's also tokenization, and it really is across the ecosystem. So we've been investing around the ecosystem for using our traditional assets and then evolving our traditional business assets to be able to be on-chain as well.
So they're evolving, guys. BNY Mellon, of course, they're already a Ripple partner, and they are looking to tokenize everything, along with many other banks and financial institutions, especially in the United States. As we're seeing, more clarity come in to the market, this is what the reality is going to be moving into 2026. I wanted to thank Hunter Horsley, XRP Crypto Wolf, and Cryptos Russ just for posting that, along with the Bitcoin Therapist too. Now, Echo to Truth addressing something that, I don't want to ignore. If we wake up tomorrow and ISO 20022 doesn't send XRP flying like all these influencers keep claiming, we seriously need to start holding people accountable. Now, we were of the opinion years and years ago that this ISO 20022 implementation would in fact help certain cryptocurrencies gain momentum, and thus we would see true price discovery. But his gut is saying that that's not going to happen, and mine is saying the same thing, guys. There's not going to be a magical pump. Obviously, we're seeing XRP still trading in a spec market. This has not changed. Of course, though, ISO 20022 coming online, I think by Monday. The coexistence period is scheduled to end on November the 22nd. So that is today. I guess that means that by tomorrow, we are going to see ISO 20022 fully implemented. And this date was reconfirmed by the SWIFT board for cross-border FI to FI financial institution, either supervised or non-supervised payment instructions at its meeting of June 2024. So that is the deadline. I've said many times, no such thing as ISO 20022 compliant tokens. That's coming from Vincent Van Code. And this change has already mostly happened, okay? What you think major banks will wait and sit to the last day? Yeah, that's the other thing. A lot of these banks have already gone online with the new technology. The only message format and new one coexisted for months. They are just switching off the old system. So guys, plan accordingly. Of course, there is a small chance, maybe a 0.00001% chance that I might be wrong, but I have been around software delivery long enough to know that I am right. So retweeting out Swift's message here, this weekend marks a major milestone in payments. The coexistence period between MT and ISO 20022 messaging standards has ended. From November 22nd, 2025, all these institutions will now be running on the ISO 20022 format. This is good to see and good to know. In case you missed it, this courtesy of Smoke here, the ISO 20022 site is showing an improved request to enable Ripple's interledger protocol on the Swift network. So guys, this is directly here. I'm just going to bring this, I'm going to expand that, and there's no audio here, but you can see here, this is the ISO 20022 Universal Financial Industry Messaging Scheme, and he's just scrolling down here in this video. If you guys take a look at that. The Mojaloop Foundation is one of these organizations. They deal with payments and clearing and settlement. And this was approved back in 2024. Now, he's going to download that document there. I just wanted to bring this up to reiterate, Ripple and Mojaloop are connected through a strategic collaboration focused on increasing global financial inclusion. Of course, they are tied also to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Ripple is a sponsor member of the Mojaloop Foundation, contributing financial, technical, and legal assistance to the development and adoption of open source software. So Ripple is embedded in the Mojaloop software here. It says Ripple joins Mojaloop Foundation in a push to bring financial inclusion, yada, yada. That happened back in August of 2020. So a lot was happening back in 2020. But just back to this video here, you guys can see when that document is downloaded. So Smoke here, just going to the document. What he's looking at down here, I believe, is okay. Just showing us that it is still we're talking about Mojaloop here, obviously, and just going down here. Okay, he talks about ILP v4 packets. So that is important. What is it? Ripple Labs originally developed the Interledger protocol. So Ripple specifically not only uses it, but they developed the Interledger protocol, which uses ILP v4, as its core messaging standard for connecting different ledgers and payment systems. Ripple uses this protocol as a fundamental part of its strategy to enable interoperability and seamless global payments, often utilizing the XRP cryptocurrency as a bridge asset. So guys, again, this is coming directly from the ISO 20022 webpage. This means that Ripple is now approved to be directly integrated into the SWIFT system, of course, right on the deadline date. I'm sure this was released before that, but of course, in time for the deadline, which is today, November the 22nd. So yeah, hopefully we do see some more meaningful activity surrounding these protocols that will hopefully scale sooner rather than later. I mean, I need my investment to continue to rally. What do you guys think? Do you guys think XRP price is set to make a new all-time high by the end of the year? Are you confident that we're moving into 2026 bullish? Well, you guys can see what I think over there at patreon.com/workingmoneychannel. And check out the Working Money Channel merch store if you guys are interested in helping to support the channel by purchasing some Working Money Channel merch. Link is in the description. That's just my opinion. I want to hear what you guys think. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like the video if you like the content I'm providing. I always love hearing your comments. See you in the next one, guys.